tonight. And I'm happy to see most of you have been able to join. And therefore, we are going to start so that we are going to finish on time, because that's what we love doing most, ensuring that we keep time. And we have also good time to hear what we have for this conversation tonight. So Doreen Washira is my name, the host tonight from Rubber Care Center, a lead psychotherapist. And I'm glad that you are here. And today is a very interesting conversation around recalling you in motherhood journey. And I'll say motherhood is a very interesting journey. I'm a mother of teenagers, 13, 15, and one turning 18 in the next 2 months. And the journey is usually exciting, but also comes with its own challenges here and there. And that's why it's important for us to get to hear some of these nugget tools that can help us to keep on with the journey, because we cannot afford to forget ourselves as we take care of other people. And as one author said, you cannot pour from an empty cup, and we don't want also to run on fumes. I'm sure you end a good day. And once again, I want to say thank you. Kindly mute your mic. Thank you. Frida, kindly mic. Okay. Sorry about that, and thank you, Frida. And therefore, without much, I want to introduce our guest tonight. She's here, she's ready, she's set, and we want to utilize more of what she has for us. And therefore, I'll go straight to introducing her. Allow me to do this. And therefore, once again, thank you, Lydia Karimi, for allowing to be, our speaker, our guest, and allowing us to tap from you the much that you've been able to cover in the motherhood journey. And Lydia is a mother, she's a wife, she's a spiritual mentor, she's an entrepreneur and a therapist. Lydia is a certified professional counselor with over 8 years of experience providing counseling and psychological therapy. She is passionate about helping families, individuals, and groups from diverse backgrounds to cope with psychosocial needs. Apart from a strong base in counseling therapy, Lydia is passionate about helping teenagers cope with different stages of life, and she has also developed innovative and effective person-specific programs for couples and corporate organizations. Lydia holds a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. She also has Masters of Arts and Literature. She has Bachelor's of Arts in English and Literature. And also she has a higher diploma in counseling psychology. She is also an executive director and lead psychotherapist at Aish Consult, a Kenyan-based consultancy firm that focuses on helping people to be able to overcome personal challenges and also build happy relationships. Lydia is also a co-director at Urgency Distributors Limited, a company that specializes in building and construction products. And she blends entrepreneurial insight with a therapeutic work so as to provide holistic support to our clients towards leading balanced life with purpose and freedom. To those people who have seen her in the social media platforms, she always likes talking of purpose and freedom. And also she's been a keynote speaker in various spaces. She's been in the talk shows, in Citizen TV. She has also been with the women conferences. She's been for quite a long time also with Mount Kenya University, where at some point she was a lecturer. And also she's been to various schools like Oshawa doing mental health and suicide management. She's also been in the forefront in terms of premarital counseling in Mamlaka Hill Chapel, and also issues like gender-based and violence and depression in many women's conferences, and also mental health awareness. And therefore, we are privileged this evening to have this this woman with so much wealth of wisdom to come and pour to us. And therefore, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you, Lydia. And I want you to feel free so that you can talk to us, you can have a conversation with us, you can help us as mothers as we walk through this journey. So over to you, and I will request all of us kindly let's be muted so that we can be able to get the best of this moment. Karibu sana, Lydia.
Thank you so much, Doreen. What a beautiful introduction. I really appreciate. Sometimes someone lacks words after such a great introduction, and at times you ask yourself, is this Lydia? Is it the same person that I know? You know? Yes. And I'd love to appreciate everyone, them that have been able to join in. Janet, karibu sana. I can say we have Sharon, she's here. We have Milka, Mary, karibu, you're welcome. I see we have Evelyn, Faith, welcome. Anne, you're welcome. Stella, we are quite a number, and such a beautiful opportunity or a great privilege for me to be able to share with you. So let me maybe do a bit of introduction of myself before I go to the slides. I am Lydia Karimi. As you heard, a counseling psychologist. I'm a mother, and I am married. Married for 13 years. I think that is something that my profile did not pick up. I've been married for 13 years to my one husband, and together, God has blessed us with 4 children, which I'd say this is a blessing. Out of the motherhood journey, I've been able to find my direction. I've been able to find my purpose. I've been able to direct, to realize which way I want or I've wanted to go regarding my life. I know at some point I'll share my story, how I got into therapy, and it's surprising how motherhood is a pain that led to purpose. And with that, as I go ahead, allow me to share my my slide. I hope everyone can see. So today's topic is on today's topic is from survival. We're getting from survival to strength. And I'd love us to discuss the real self-care. You know, what is self-care for mothers, and what does it mean for us? So when we're calling ourselves in the motherhood journey, ourselves in the motherhood journey, what does it mean for you? And maybe I'd like to hear from one or two. I love engaging. What does it mean, recalling yourself? Or as you're coming in, what's your expectation? Recalling yourself in the motherhood journey. Who would love to share with us what it means to them? What does it mean for you, recalling yourself in the motherhood journey?
Yeah, people can feel free to engage on the chat.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can engage on the chat. And if you'd love to speak, I would give an opportunity to hear what we would think or what we would feel. And now, when I was thinking about this, recalling myself or recalling you in the motherhood journey, and when I was picking the topic, you know, from survival to strength, I get this from a personal journey, from my personal story. And I'm here looking at a beautiful girl in red. So not that red is my favorite color, a beautiful girl in red, and she's holding a rose or a flower. And I'm looking at her well dressed, very neat. I love her hair. I love her eyes. She's actually she looks quite natural. And when I thought about a woman that has walked a journey that has not been so easy, but a journey that has been worth the survival, that has been worth the strain. Yes, sometimes strain, because when we are mothering, when we are taking care of our children, we really strain. I thought about myself, and I'd love to touch a little bit on me. So I am, as I said, I'm a mother of 4 children. And being a mother of 4 children, I have 2 preteens who are 10 years. They are twins, a boy and a girl. I'm a mother of a 7-year-old who is a boy, and I'm a mother of a daughter who is 4 years old. When you look at the stages that they are in, you can tell these children are, they're in different stages. They look at things differently. There are some that are in the curious stage. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of conversations. There's a lot of noise at home. Once I'm done with work and get home, I get to work. It's like another job. And I believe that there are some of us who could be connecting with me, who understand where I'm coming from. And I'm imagining that there's maybe amongst us we have people who have smaller children. Please do not or let me make a request. You can write on your comments. Write, I'm a mother of this age. I'm a mother of a 6-year-old. I'm a mother of a 2-month-old. If you can, just put it in the writing on the comment. Yeah. And so this girl, when I was getting my firstborns, that is the twins, I'd say that was a strange, it was new. It was strange, it was new. I wouldn't say I wasn't expecting to have children, because I was trusting God to have children. And here, God gave me children. And being a twin pregnancy, because it was our first twin, it was the first pregnancy, I remember some of the strains that I experienced. One, the hormonal changes, the size, the body changes, even emotional changes. Sometimes I would, I would be very excited. Suddenly I'm very hurt, I'm sad and stuff like that. There was a lot of change in my life. And as I was ending, I was going to the birth, giving birth space. I remember I had some things that I'd put in place. Number one, I had decided, I'd made a choice that I was going to give birth, to have a normal birth. I don't know whether there are some who have been in such a space where you've decided to give birth, to have a normal, birth, and then you have to go through CS. So that was one of the things that I put in place. And then the other one, I knew that I was not going to give my children formula milk. So I was really, really focused towards breastfeeding, and breastfeeding, pure breastfeeding. And when I went to give birth, unfortunately, things didn't go as I had planned. It was strange that one, there was an emergency CS. I had an emergency CS. Number two, I didn't get milk like immediately. The way we struggle with latching and stuff like that. I'd say I was distressed at the hospital, and even going home, the transition was quite difficult. The other challenge that I experienced was the challenge of bringing over a new nanny, because I remember I got a nanny on a Thursday, and the following day, which was on a Friday, that's when I went to hospital. Unfortunately, after getting the babies and going home, one of the things that happened to me is I experienced postpartum depression. I went into depression because, you realize that I was emotionally distressed. You realize that I was under, I was disappointed because the things that I'd planned, or the things that I'd put in place, actually had nothing aligned at all. And so you can imagine this new mom who has gotten into motherhood, and getting into motherhood, she had expectations, and then all the expectations, they all go of WASAC. And I think that was the beginning of my journey, desiring to know, because at some point I went through suicidal ideations, tried to commit suicide, but by God's grace, I was able to get out of that. I'll talk about it at some point. My life as a therapist, I would say, began, or my desire to become a therapist began from the point of postpartum depression. And today I'm having a conversation with ladies who have had different struggles, different strains and challenges in their motherhood journeys. Sometimes it is a relationship struggle with your partner, okay? Sometimes it is balancing work and taking care of the babies. These are things you can look at. And if you have any questions, you're allowed to just share them on our chats. So I can see Mary has said that for her, recalling herself in the motherhood journey means knowing who you are beside being a mother. Thank you so much, Mary, for that. And I want to look at what is Mary. Then achieving a healthy balance. That's Sharon. Sharon says that I'd have to know. I believe that recalling myself is about achieving a healthy balance between taking care of family, kids, as well as my personal, as well as my personal relationship. Yeah. And is it a relationship? What am I saying? Between taking care of myself. I'm missing on something. Doreen, are you able to check the charts on my behalf, please?
Sure. Sorry. Yes, Mary talks of knowing who you are beside being a mother. TM talks of moving from self-abandonment to fulfillment, showing myself grace and allowing myself to flourish all round. Then Sharon is talking of achieving a healthy balance between taking care of family, kids, as well as my personal interests. Because at times I find motherhood so tiring. Final result end up being serving family and forgetting self.
Yes. So these are some of the things that I'd love us to talk about and be very open about. What does it mean to have a balance? What does it mean for us to, achieve, to ensure that we are not running on fumes, but we are actually, we are thriving and not surviving as mothers. And there is this question there are questions that I had that I'd love to ask us. And the question is this: what does motherhood mean to you? If you were to say that in one word, I'd call motherhood stressful, beautiful, engaging, difficult. How would you describe motherhood for you? And the other one is, what's that one thing that surprised you most about becoming a mother? Maybe during the first, when you got the first baby, what surprised you? What didn't you expect? What weren't you prepared for? Because some of us, there are things that we were never prepared for. Like myself, I remember when I had gone, I went on a spree to go and commit suicide. And when I didn't commit suicide, but when I came back home, one of the ladies that came to see me asked me, "Were you given formula milk?" And honestly, I didn't know what formula milk was, or I didn't even know how a tin of formula milk looked like. I don't know if there's someone who shares the same kind of an experience whereby you have an idea there's formula milk, but by the time the babies were coming, you didn't even know how it looked like. And that was such a shock when the lady asked me, "Were you given anything from hospital?" I was like, "Yes, we were given quite a number of medication, and here is the medicine that I was given." I shared the medication. Unfortunately, not even unfortunately, but fortunately, inside there were 2 bottles, 2 tins of formula milk. And she was like, "Lydia, you were given formula milk while you were in hospital." And that was 2 weeks later, while I was at home. And thankfully, we were able to feed the children. and the children were able to sleep because they were quite distressed. So I'm still keen on how you describe motherhood for you. Is it difficult? Is it beautiful? Is it easy? Now, every woman has their unique perspectives of motherhood. And for every child that you take care of or that you bring up, there is always a different experience. The children are totally different. There's none that looks like the other. There's none that behaves like the other. There's none that, when it comes to sicknesses, when it comes to the developmental stages and milestones, they are totally different. So we all have different experiences. And again, the most important or the most critical thing that we need to understand or we need to realize is that there's nothing that we need to do as mothers to change the experience of a child to look like the other child. Every child is different and the experience is different. If you went through a birth process, you realize that the birth process of one child is totally different from the birth process of the other child. Maybe when you went to give birth, the labor pains, the process of laboring was totally different from the way the other one looked like. And so I have that question here. When was the last time you did something just for yourself? Because this is what I really want us to delve into. When was the last time you did something for yourself? And have you ever done anything for yourself away from your husband, away from your relatives, away from your friends? What is that thing that you've done for yourself? Yes, I can see there's someone who says that my journey or my experience in motherhood is a cocktail. It's a cocktail of events. It's quite a number of things. It's a mix. Yes, motherhood is tiresome. It's a shock. I'm a mother of one. The nipple cracks was such a surprise for me. I can see motherhood is a full-time job. That is faith, which you learn on the job. Sometimes beautiful, other times hard. And then Tabi says that the extremely bone-shattering pain of labor shook me to the core. And Tabi, you're laughing. I feel you. I feel you because I know a number of us have had we've had that pain. We would hear about it, but now getting to the point where you experience it, it's not easy at all. Thank you for that. And so we now look at recalling ourselves back after motherhood. So you realize that when you're saying that you want to call yourself back to your you want to call yourself back, you're telling yourself, you know what? I am an individual away from being a mother. I was before I became a mother. And this takes me back to a scripture, I'm born again, to a scripture that I really love from the book of Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 4. The Bible says that I knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb, and I set you apart. I set you apart. And that was God was speaking to Jeremiah. One of the things that scripture reminds me of, or one of the things that it brings me back to realization is that I was a human. I was planned for. I was human. I'm not an accident. Before anything else, before my birth, I was in place, was put in place. And therefore, this scripture brings me to a point of identity, whereby you realize that your identity can never be exchanged by anything, or can never be, we can't have an exchange of who you are. You have unique gifts, you have unique talents, you have unique experiences, and that is what God wants you to make good use, or God wants you to take identity of and become that which God has set you apart for. So God told Jeremiah that I set you apart to become a prophet. I set you apart to become a prophet. And the question that we need to ask ourselves is, what have we been set apart to become? To become a mother, to become a wife, what more? To become an HR consultant, to become a business lady. What is it that you are? And the easiest and the best way you can discover yourself is by learning your creator. Know who is God? What did he intend with me when he was creating me? So today we're looking at rediscovering your identity. We're looking at reconnecting with our passions, the things that we love, the things that we enjoy. We are looking at rebuilding our emotional and mental strength. We are looking at restoring the balance. That is learning to care for ourselves while we are caring for our families, because our families are important. We're also learning how to reclaim our voices and our choices, because the truth is we actually have a voice and we actually have a choice. So we need to learn, we are going to learn how to live with intention instead of just reacting to life. And this is a question that I asked in our previous, when we had our other session, still on recalling ourselves in the journey of motherhood. I asked, who are you, woman? And this was a question that I know a number of us were wondering, hey, why are you asking me who am I, woman? I know I'm a woman. So what else are you telling me beyond who am I, woman? And this is a question I'd like us to answer on our chats. Who are you, woman? It is a very reflective question. It's a question that put me in a place whereby I ask myself, beyond all these responsibilities, who am I? What makes me as a person? What are my passions? What are my dreams? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What is my personality? What is my identity? What is my uniqueness? Am I worrying around trying to become what other people are? Or am I actually pursuing an understanding of me as a person? Am I self-aware? Do I know how I react? Do I understand my emotions? Whenever I am sad, what do I do? How do I react? Or am I overwhelmed so much that I am just doing life, for the sake of it? Some of us are just living. You wake up in the morning, wake up to a normal routine because it's waking up, going to work, coming back home, breastfeed, take care of the children, take care of your partner, then falling, then sleep. In the morning you go to work. That cycle. We are on a cycle to the extent whereby maybe we lead lives that are autopiloted. And the truth is that God has not called you as a woman to live on autopilot. God has called you to live an intentional life. So beyond the diapers and the dishes and the demands, because there are so many demands, you need to go to the market, you need to school, maybe you're in school. I remember I did my higher diploma when I was when my twins were young. And you need to do the cooking, you need to do maybe you're a minister, you're serving in church and doing all this. Beyond those things, what are you? What are those inner gifts, the inner passions that you carry as a person? Have you taken your time to rediscover yourself and not abandon yourself, your role? Know who you are as well as you uphold the role that you carry as a mother. We're talking about remembering who we are as a whole. The healthier and more fulfilled, the more, whenever you discover yourself and you pursue the person that you are and you build your capacity, you take care of yourself, then you become healthier, and the more fulfilled you are, the more your family benefits. Someone one day asked me, Lydia, I thought that self-care is selfish. And I told her, to the best of my opinion, I don't think that self-care is selfish. Self-care is, you take care of yourself so that you have enough energy to be able to take care of other people. And I'd love this reflective question to stick into our hearts. When you go to your house, when you go to, as you're running your errands, ask yourself, who am I? What are my dreams? What are my strengths? What are my passions? What's my aspiration? What do I want to become? Unfortunately, many women get lost in the mix of responsibilities. And now we end up living a very, what do you call it? We end up living a very unfulfilled life. So motherhood is a chapter, not the whole book. So don't forget to keep writing your own story. Note that motherhood is a chapter. And when we talk of motherhood being a chapter, we're looking at motherhood 001, motherhood 002, motherhood 003. So it's a chapter. It is not the whole book. So when we worry or when we completely pour ourselves into motherhood and forget the other aspects of our lives, then it is so much disservice to us, not only to us, but even to the world as a whole. Okay? So how do we rebuild our emotional and our mental strength after birth? We've given birth. You know, as I could hear it, motherhood is a lot of work. How do we get ourselves back? How do we put ourselves together when things are, when life is just moving, when life is just moving and there is no stop? Because with motherhood, it's like, actually the truth is with motherhood, there is no stopping. So one of the things that we do is we pause. We acknowledge that we are exhausted. Whenever you feel exhausted, you tell yourself, you know what? This is not weakness. I can clearly tell that I am exhausted. I am tired. I am overwhelmed. I feel sad. I am drained. Take your time as a mother to pause. And it is when you take your time to pause and relax and get in and connect with yourself. That's the moment when you get to get in touch with who you are as a woman. Take your time and talk. Whom do you speak to? Whom do you share your feelings with? Do you have a friend? Do you have a mentor? Do you have a therapist like Doreen? Okay. Then if there are times maybe you've gone through difficulties, maybe someone has hurt you along the way, or you've been disappointed along the way, because I can tell you for a fact, you'll be disappointed by spouses, you'll be disappointed by mother-in-law or father-in-law, you'll be disappointed by friends, Take your time and heal. Allow yourself to heal. And we do that by taking small and consistent steps to restore our minds and our hearts. And then believe that you can always build your emotions, your emotional strength, and start. You can actually, after going through a low, like now the way I went through postpartum depression, you can go through that kind of a depression and rise up again. You can see that, want to see. I see Doreen is asking, when did you visit you? When did you visit you? And that's a big, big question, Doreen. Thank you for that. And Faith says, yes, motherhood is a chapter. Then there are many other chapters. Thank you so much for that. And for you, whenever you realize that you're emotionally overwhelmed, as I say, pause, talk, heal, and find hope again. And Lydia Karinia tells us, even the strongest mothers need time to mend. Even the strongest mothers need time to mend. Healing is not a pause from life. It is the path back to living. It is the path back to living. So we get to the next slide, whereby I'd love us to get into self-care. I'm one person who really believes in self-care, especially for women and women who are especially for mothers. Okay. So what is self-care? Self-care is the intentional act of taking care of your physical, of your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. That is self-care. The intentional act. When Doreen asks, when was the last time you visited you? When was the last time you're intentional about yourself? It is, that moment when you actually took your time to look at your physical self, to look at your emotional self, your mental self, and your spiritual well-being. Self-care is about nurturing yourself so that you can show up healthier, stronger, and more present for your life, for your life and for your loved ones. And of course, there are different practices that maybe we can look at, so that and maybe if there's something out of this that you've been doing, you can just drop it on the chat and let us know what are things that you have done as a person, during this motherhood journey specifically for you. For physical care, getting enough rest, adequate rest. When the baby has taken time to nap, you take your time to nap. Yeah. Eating a balanced diet, a nourishing meal. You prepare simple, healthy snacks. I remember when I was when I was bringing up my children, one of the things that I was very keen on after giving birth was ensuring that I made soup. And the kind of a soup I would make, because I didn't love the bone soup, the pure bone soup. Since I didn't love the pure bone soup, what I would do is I would boil the pure bone soup, the broth, and then make pumpkins, carrots, ginger. You see all those vegetables, cook them. After cooking them, I blend them together with the stock of the soup. And I know every morning I would ensure that I took that because I knew that my body really needed some nourishment. So move your body, short walks, stretches, dancing to music in the kitchen, You don't need to really do too much. Make a few movements here and there. Then hydrate regularly. Take as much water as possible, as much water as you can. Then we look at your mental and emotional care. Take short breaks during the day just for yourself. Do we do that? Do we take time off to just breathe in and breathe out? I know we are in a cold season, and outside, sometimes being outside, it's even worse than being inside the house, but sometimes you just need some breath to take it, to breathe in and breathe out. Journal your thoughts and your feelings. Someone may want to ask me, Lydia, do I even have that time to journal my thoughts and my feelings? You don't need to write too much, paragraphs and paragraphs of and pages and pages. No, you just write down, this is what I'm feeling. I've woken up this morning. I feel energetic. I feel happy. I plan today to do 1, 2, 3 things. List down your tasks. And then what does it feel? Am I looking forward to the way my day looks like? What can I put in place? What can I do differently? Journal your thoughts. Think about maybe something that happened at work. Maybe you're already done you just come from maternity leave and you've gone back to work and and you realize that maybe your desk is unkempt. Maybe the person that you had left to relieve you has done their own things. Okay. Because we find that, or maybe you found a new boss. How do you handle that? Journal your thoughts. Practice deep breathing. The box breathing whereby you breathe for 4. Breathe in, breathe out. When you feel overwhelmed, because during that season, after having children, one of the things that we experience is we experience hormonal changes. And when you experience hormonal changes, some of the things that happen is we are not able to manage stress because either we have low levels of dopamine, low levels of serotonin. So take time, breathe in, breathe out before even making emotional decisions, or sometimes seek therapy or support when you're feeling overwhelmed. Okay, so these are some of the self-care tips. Spend time on a hobby. When you are visiting yourself, what was that hobby that you revisited? Something that you loved. Whenever we are visiting our hobbies, we are visiting our inner children, our inner selves. Okay? So when you visit that inner child, what does that inner child love doing? There's something that I really love and I enjoy. This, what do you call this? The swing, whereby you get on a swing and you swing from one one end to the other. I really love that, and I think that is one of the things that one of the hobbies that I love, that takes me back to that reminds me of the inner, that beautiful girl, that small girl in me. So I get back to that, and you can see, you can try reading, you can try crafting, gardening, and cooking for fun. So let us know, help us know, what are those things that you do for joy and for your passion? What are those things that you do for your hobby? Listening to uplifting music or on podcasts. Maybe one of us is here asking, Lydia, I think I completely forgot how hobbies looked like. Somebody give me an idea of some of the things that I can do. So chat on us, chat and give us ideas what you do whenever you feel overwhelmed or whenever you want to just connect with your inner self. So what about the social and support care? Connect regularly with a friend. You have a girlfriend. Sometimes your spouse is not enough. Sometimes your spouse is not enough. And I'm not saying that spouses are bad or that spouses will not understand. I'm a marriage and family therapist. And I'm one person who really encourages couples to try as much as possible to build themselves, to build their a culture where they spend a lot of time with each other. They talk, they have conversations with one another. But there are times, the truth is, there are times that we need someone else, and especially a girlfriend. I don't know whether you've. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with my friend, and as we were having a conversation, she told me, "You know, it is very difficult to gossip with a man." And I really laughed about it because I asked her, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "You know, men just give you very little information. They don't give you a lot of information, as much information." But with a friend, when you go and meet your girlfriend, you talk about this before even you're done with that story, you've already moved to another one. Before you're done with that, you've already moved to another one. And before you know it, you leave empty. You leave having released that which you are carrying. So ask and accept help from family and friends. Self-care. When last did you visit you? That is a question. And again, the other question is, what are some of the things that we do, that we keep doing, so that, to build ourselves and to make ourselves, to reconnect with our inner selves. Now, we have this question. What is self-care? Are there facts about self-care, and are there myths about self-care? So okay, I've I just handpicked a few questions here. So one is self-care. One of the myths is that self-care is selfish or it is indulgent. To some extent, there's some truth. Sometimes it is too indulgent, especially whereby you don't care about other people, especially whereby you're overspending. There are those people who overspend and indulge and get into debt. That is not the kind of self-care that I'm talking about. I'm talking about you reconnecting with yourself. You finding something simple and easy that reconnects with the inner self. Another myth, self-care is just about spa days and vacations and retail therapy. That is going shopping on shopping sprees. But is it so? No. Self-care is not just about spa days. And today I'll be touching on two major things: capacity building and self-development is self-care, because we are recalling ourselves. We are getting ourselves out of the motherhood cocoon and allowing ourselves to touch base on other things, building our strengths and becoming, because God has placed so much in us. There's a scripture that says that the Lord has given us what we require for life and for godliness. So the other one is self-care is limited to emotional or physical practices. Not necessarily so. It is not limited. You can actually try things that you can take care of yourself by doing what? By taking care, by self-developmental activities or capacity building. That is self-care. And actually, that is what I really, really want us to look at today. So the reality is that self-care is capacity work. It involves building boundaries. Building boundaries is whereby you put, you decide, this is how far someone or a relationship can go. This is how far you can speak to me. This is a kind of a language I can allow you to speak to me. Building boundaries involves setting ourselves apart from wrong relationships and even wrong habits and routines. Self-care is about resting and healing and discipline. It's about learning and connection. So self-care is also preventive. It's protecting yourself from breakdown and restoring yourself. That is rebuilding yourself after depletion. Remember that when you're taking care of your children, as one of us said, that taking motherhood carries or takes away our energy, takes away our attention. So self-care is about rebuilding yourself. It's about getting back your energy, which you actually deserve. Self-care is rooted in self-responsibility. It is rooted in self-awareness. It is rooted in self-kindness and compassion. Telling yourself it is okay. All these utensils are here on the sink, but I feel tired. I feel overwhelmed. I need to rest. Self-care is going to see a therapist and telling a therapist, you know what, I feel cluttered. I need to align my life. I need to put things in place because honestly, I am not in a good space. That is self-care. Self-care is disciplining yourself. This is how I need to manage my time. I know I have 3 children. I know I need to have time for every baby. I know so well I need to have time for myself and time for my spouse. It is self-responsibility. It is not self-abandonment. So self-care is the art of becoming the kind of a person your future self can count on. And I want to throw this question to us. What is that one thing that you're doing for yourself that your future self can count on? What are you doing for yourself so that your future self can count on you? I'd love to hear. We can just chat. What are you doing? Is it financial? Is it intellectual? What are you doing for yourself? What can your future self count on in future? You know? We get to now direct to the capacity building. To get to capacity building. Capacity building and self-development as a way of self-care. Did I lose? So, did you know that self-development is a self-care tool? Did you know that? Self-development is the intentional pursuit of your potential, grounded in emotional, mental, spiritual, and social growth. It is an intentional pursuit. You know, you see, I have an image here of someone who is in a comfort zone and someone who is on a growth zone. The person who is on a comfort zone, you know, you've decided, you know what? I think I am comfortable with just being a mother, and that's okay. I feel I'm comfortable with being a wife, and that is okay. But there's someone who is like, you know what? I need to grow. And now this person is on a growth zone. So when you invest in personal growth, you want gain clarity of purpose and identity. And amazingly, it is so fulfilling, focusing on yourself and pushing yourself a bit harder by allowing yourself to touch into your strengths and to do something extra that can make you a better person. So the growth zone, it's a development. When you invest in personal growth, you develop emotional balance and cognitive strength. You know, when you're doing something extra for yourself, when you do an extra effort, when you decide, I want to wake up earlier, when you decide to take an extra course, when you decide to go to the gym for yourself, you know, to take care of your body, then you develop an emotional balance and cognitive strength. When you invest in personal growth, again, you build resilience to pressure and unpredictability because you're actually pushing yourself, and you know your mind is not is not limited to the 1-2s that you're doing here. It is you know, you're forward looking, your growth focused. So when you invest in personal growth, you experience a life led by fulfillment and not survival because you've planned your life. And Lydia says that when a mother grows, her whole family rises with her. When a mother grows, her whole family rises with her. Self-development in motherhood is an investment in generations. So when you start working on yourself, when you start building yourself, when you start calling yourself into action, then you're actually building onto the future and not only today. I'd love to share an experience that I know is would be a blessing, would be a support to us. Now, beyond being a mother and being a wife, I used to run a business together with my husband. I still am a director in the business as we had. But I got to a point whereby I felt like there was something more apart from just running the business together with my husband. And I remember I would sit with myself, I would sit with my thoughts and my feelings and ask myself, what am I here on earth for? I'd ask myself, why did God create me? Beyond making money, what more do I need to do? And I remember that that question kept on coming over and pushing me and pushing me and pushing me until the point whereby I went back to school and went to do therapy. And in the process, I can tell you, it took a lot of energy to stop doing the thing that I was used to. That is running the business and getting into my career, sitting, listening to people, solving problems with them, helping them find direction, helping them find a purpose. It took a lot of energy for me to move from the familiar and allowing myself to get to the new. And today I look at myself. The truth is, I am happier today because I made the decisions that I made. I'm happier today because I pushed myself a bit more. I'm happier today because I called myself. Some of the questions that, or some of the things I was struggling with were, am I betraying my partner by leaving the business we've grown together to go and do something that I'm passionate about? I battled with that. By going out and by leaving the children, because now, once I was done with doing the foundationals, being at home, maternity leave, and now you've got to go out and run your own business. At some point, I felt like I was abandoning my children, but I know one of the things that I did was hitting a balance. That I would ensure that my children received my attention, and again, my business, my newfound career, got my attention too. And so capacity building as a person, that is pushing yourself, telling yourself, I've got to push myself beyond what I already know, beyond the familiar. It is the intentional cultivation of your inner and your outer strength, your ability to carry life. It gives you ability to carry life with clarity, calm, and courage. It is allowing yourself to shift from reactivity to intentionality. Now, when I say it is allowing yourself to shift from reactivity to intentionality, what I mean is this. There are people who live a life that is not structured. And you just do what comes. Today I sleep, and when I wake up in the morning, whatever comes, or I'll wake up and the baby will wake up, I'll go take care of them, clean them, hair next. Living an unstructured life. And so when you live an unstructured life, you're always waking up to react. You're always reacting. But when you structure your life, you're living an intentional life. You know so well that after 6 months, I want to do this. After 1 year, I want to do this. After 2 years, I'd love my maybe to pursue a different skill. I'd love to learn a different skill. It is capacity building as a self-care tool is moving from being overwhelmed to being equipped. What are you equipping yourself as a woman, as a mother, as a futuristic person? What are you doing? And I can tell you it is your responsibility to ensure that you move from where you are today to where you want to be. Now, many women live a victim mentality mindset. Victim mentality mindset is that mindset whereby you feel like, life is happening to me. I am not in charge of my own life. And it is time for us as women to actually move from life happening to us to us taking charge of our lives. So when we build our capacity, we expand our threshold to show up consistently in our relationships with our partners. We also respond wisely to challenges and also sustain our emotional energy. Remember that you need your emotional energy. You need to be sober as a mother. You need to be sober as a wife. You need to be sober as a family person. And here, capacity is not just about doing more, it's about being ready and being resilient enough to handle more without losing yourself. And I'd like to ask us this question. Is there a time you remember when you felt that you had lost yourself? Do you remember a time when, as a woman, you lost yourself? And sometimes we lose ourselves to work. Sometimes we lose ourselves to relationships. Sometimes we lose ourselves to motherhood. Sometimes we lose ourselves to studies or even to our own families of origin. Do you remember a time when you lost yourself? During that time when you lost yourself, what did you do differently to get yourself out of that? And so you realize that your self-care supports your mental wellness. It boosts your ability to regulate your emotions and manage your stress, taking care of yourself without collapsing. It enables you it enhances your clarity in problem solving, in planning, and healthy decision making. That is self-care. Putting yourself as a priority, the same way you're prioritizing everyone else. So self-care, it also reduces the risk of burnout by establishing systems of rest, reflection, and balance. It also helps you to respond with wisdom, not just reaction, in moments of uncertainty or pressure. And I think I'd love to take a short break, and I'd love to hear from us. Is there a moment that you felt that you'd lost yourself and you needed to recall yourself? What was happening in your life? Would love to share? Would someone love to speak? I'd love to give us an opportunity to hear somebody speak.
Yes, whoever would want to speak can lift their virtual hand, and you're going to see it and call on you. Yeah. So let's feel free. This is quite an engaging and reflecting kind of a conversation.
Thank you, Doreen. Is there a time you felt you'd abandoned yourself? Or you needed to recall yourself? What was happening? Doreen, let me maybe throw this to you.
Dr. Stella, her hand is up. Yes,
okay,
so Dr.
okay.
Stella, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I think when the children were young and they needed so much attention, and that is the time that I was trying to develop myself career-wise. So you have a job, you're going to school, the children need your attention, your attention is needed as a spouse. I think definitely I abandoned myself. Taking care of myself was more like a privilege, like a luxury, actually, if I may say that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There was so much you're working and there were babies. At that point, you felt you had actually kinda abandoned yourself. So Stella, what did you do to get yourself back?
Actually, at that point, I never did anything to get myself back. I think I am getting myself back now.
Oh.
Probably because the children are grown up, they don't need me so much. I am more established in my career. I never really took that time to take care of myself, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Allow me to ask, during that time when you were not taking care of yourself, what was going on in your life emotionally?
I was empty,
Mm-hmm.
and I think because so much was happening, for me, I just numbed. That was my coping mechanism. I went numb, and so I didn't feel anything. You want me to do something, I'll do it. Oh, my employer wants something, I'll do it. My husband wants something, I'll do it. I stopped feeling.
You numbed.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for sharing, Stella. We really appreciate that.
Okay.
Someone else?
Yeah, I can see Sharon. Please go ahead, Sharon.
I'm audible now.
Mhm.
Yes, so yeah, being a first-time mom, I felt it was the responsibilities were too many. I'm a heavy sleeper, so dozing off while breastfeeding at night and feeling very much incapable, trying to learn so much at the same time. Transition to work, I lost my key to my locker on the first day. I think I threw it in the dustbin alongside trash. So I felt that was a first day at work. The balancing was off. So many hours spent breastfeeding, expressing. So in the long run, I think I paused on ministry. And ministry
Mhm.
suffered or to try to get my life back together. And also schoolwork. I usually walk around with a small notebook, I started some more journaling, trying to write the small achievement and tracking what I was doing right. Tried painting, then had so many impromptu visits to the hospital under one. But now I feel better. We are two. Things are
Mhm.
getting at least better. So I'm
Oh,
grateful.
oh, wow. Allow me to ask you, Sharon, when you post the ministry,
Yes,
did you
yes.
feel guilty? Did you struggle with guilt?
Yes, for sure. I never faced my leader at some point because I could not find the balance between family, friends, and ministry. So I'm yet to find that.
Mhm.
So I felt guilty, but I used to support them maybe financially whenever one has an issue or just somehow support them. So on that part, I felt I'm part of it, but not like present like I used to be.
Mm. Oh, wow. Thank you so much for that, for sharing. That is quite encouraging that you also took time to do journaling and to, you allowed yourself to reflect and get in touch with yourself. Do you have someone else? No. Maybe we can just go ahead with some of the tips, because maybe some of us may want to ask, what are some of the things that I can do in different areas of my well-being? There's the emotional self-care. So build your emotional strength and literacy. So you can consider journaling consistently to process your emotions. Whenever you sit down and write down your emotions, you're able to tell what you're really feeling. You're able to separate yourself from the thoughts, and now you're able to see them from a distance. So you journal and process the emotions. Then name the feelings. Clarity creates calm. When you feel angry, when you feel sad, when you feel disappointed, frustrated, name that feeling as it is. Because it really helps. You realize that your feelings are the ones, your feelings influence your thoughts. Every time you want to know, why am I thinking this, why am I rationalizing things in this way? Kube, it is your feeling. It's the feeling. So name the feeling and get the clarity of your feeling. Then use affirmations, therapy, or prayer to nurture your healing. So your affirmations have positive words. And one of the affirmations I really love is the affirmations using God's words, scripture. When the Bible says that I'm beautifully and wonderfully made, you say it, especially during that moment whereby the waistline is no longer, you can't see the waistline anymore. Use affirmations like I can do all things to Christ that gives me strength. So we're talking about capacity building and self-development. And sometimes you need to push beyond the limits that you think you actually are capable of. Put it down. Say it, I can do all things. I am capable. And then push yourself. Then take your time to pray. One of the things that has helped me over time, whenever I felt overwhelmed, I always go to God in prayer. I'll take time and pray and tell God every need that I have. And when I empty myself, I'm able to actually find clarity. I'm able to find dependence and trust and believe, knowing that God actually got me and that is going to give me the capacity and the ability to do what I need to do. Then cultivate self-compassion and boundaries. Self-compassion is whereby you do what? You forgive yourself, or you give yourself grace. When you're not able to do everything, when you're not able to wake up as early as you used to previously. Someone said that she's been a heavy sleeper. Be compassionate with yourself when you're sleeping. You know those moments when you're sleeping and you're holding the baby. I don't know whether we've experienced that. You sleep when the baby is breastfeeding, and by the time you're waking up, you poured. There's so much milk because you know the baby left the knee, the breasts. There's so much milk on yourself. Oh, be compassionate with yourself. It is okay to be feeling what you're feeling and to go through what you're going through. Then now we have physical self-care. Fuel the body as a vessel of purpose by prioritizing consistent sleep. Prioritize hydration, taking a lot of water, good or enough water or drinks, and nutrition. Sometimes we abandon our sleep patterns, and we don't know. One of the things that happens when you sleep well, your body is able to nourish itself and it's able to rejuvenate. You need sleep, not less than 6 hours of sleep. And sometimes if you need to get help with the children, sometimes even taking them to shags, that is, if you can, take them and then have some good time to yourself. Then move your body daily, walk, stretch, dance, exercise. If you need to go to the gym, go to the gym. Listen to your body's cues for rest or movements. I was having a conversation with Doreen today earlier, and Doreen was telling me, I think, Lydia, you are experiencing a burnout. You needed some time to rest. And one of the things that happens when we don't rest is our immunity goes, is affected. And we find ourselves really struggling with colds, flus that were unnecessary. So yes, take care of yourself. Go a mile, go an extra mile for your mental well-being. Then we have the spiritual self-care, whereby you need to anchor yourself in peace and in purpose. Schedule daily moments for prayer and meditation or worship. Reflect on your core values and your beliefs. Most of us, especially for those that are born again, our values are pegged on the scriptures, on the word of God. Reflect on them. Then serve others and engage in acts of kindness in the smallest of ways. Even serving your own children is service. So don't push yourself too hard beyond the limit. Yet at this moment, you need to secure and save some energy to yourself. Then journal what gives you hope and what gives you meaning. Then we have the intellectual self-care, whereby you need to stimulate your mind and sharpen your focus. And I was shocked to realize that our brains can shrink if you don't engage your brain, if you don't stimulate your brain, because your brain is always developing, it can shrink. And when you hear people having memory loss, most of the time it's because at some point they left out the exercise of reading books and challenging themselves, or maybe they stopped learning new concepts. When we talk of digital noise, scrolling, and social media, sometimes limit it. Decide in a day, I'm going to use social media only for 30 minutes. Or even sometimes you can decide to fast social media. I do that, and it is also spiritual self-care. Then reflect with thought-provoking questions or dialogues, or even engaging puzzles. Engaging on a puzzle. A stimulated mind is a vibrant life. Okay, so consider stimulating your mind. And I can see Doreen is talking of digital detox, that we need to find, get our minds away from social media, Instagram, and the latest news. Just detox. Have some form of calmness. Thank you, Janet. She says that clarity creates calm. Thank you so much, Janet, for that. So look at your life. Which areas need self-care. I've talked of emotional self-care, spiritual self-care, intellectual self-care, and you have also social self-care. Create your life-giving connection. Prioritize presence with people who energize you. Now, there are some of us who keep friends or relationships that actually are not making a difference in our lives at all. And that happens quite a lot. So you realize during moments where you're taking care of your children, you're having friends that are coming, showing up, but the only thing they are doing is gossip. I tell people one of the things that I'm not able to stand is gossip. I'm not able to stand gossip because I think gossip is it's demeaning. And when someone comes to me to tell me stories about other people, I honestly feel offended on behalf of those other people. So when you have people that come to give you stories, tell you stories about others, that tells you that they are very little in their lives to focus on. Avoid such kind of people. Set clear boundaries, ask for help when needed and allow others in. I remember what really saved me from postpartum depression was when my friends and neighbors came in. They realized that I was depressed. And one of the things I remember they did was to help me find help with the children. And they were like, Lydia, take your time, sleep, rest, eat well. And within a very short time, I was back thriving, taking care of my children with enough milk, and no depression. So celebrate the relationships that nourish you. Ask yourself, who nourishes me? Which people are good for me? And celebrate them and focus on building yourself, focus on building on that. I want to get to these other slides so that you can get to the questions. If you have any question that you'd love to ask me, whether it is a personal question, I'll be here to answer the question. So capacity building and self-care builds on your relationship. When you take care of yourself, you show up with a full cup, not from emotional emptiness. And I'd like us to look at this couple. This couple, it looks like it must have been a Valentine's Day. The truth is, we can have Valentine's Day on days apart from the February 15th. When was the last time you actually allowed yourself to go out with your partner or with your friends, not because it was an event, not because it was an occasion, but on a random day, just for self-care? You wanted to dress up, put on makeup, go out, and just have fun, like the couple that we have here. So when you take care of yourself, you're able to show up for the people that are around you. Number two, you also gain tools for better communication and healthy detachment.
Welcome
You're
back.
able to attach.
How was your day? Been an from ever.
Kindly, Evelyn Hira, go mute yourself.
Thank you. So capacity building, it helps you gain. It helps you gain tools for better communication and healthy detachment. Do you realize that whenever you're emotionally drained, you tend to be rude, you tend to be irritable, you tend to withdraw, you don't want to connect with anybody? So building yourself gives you energy to be there and to show up for other people. It helps you to reduce reactivity and building trust and consistent presence for other people. There's someone who said that a happy woman, a happy wife is equals to a happy home. So can we have happy women? Can we have happy mothers so that you can have happy homes? So when you're doing well, you stop projecting unresolved, issues, and you start offering clarity and warmth to the people that are around you. Also, the relationships grow not through the relationships grow because of your presence, because when you're in a good space, you're present in your relationship, in your marriage, in your friendships, in the lives of your children. So you need to take care of yourself specifically for them. So you realize that self-care is actually not selfish. So you can only meet others as deeply as you yourself. That is a quote. You can only meet others as deeply as you meet yourself. Back to the question that Doreen asked. When was the last time you met with you? When was the last time you had a date with yourself? And as I end, because I'm ending, and I'd like to let me give that question, maybe answer on our chat. When was the last time you had a date with yourself? When was the last time you met with yourself? Self-care is not a weekend getaway. It is a daily devotion to your inner strength. Daily. It's a daily devotion. Self-care, capacity building is sacred. It is a self-development work that no one else sees, but everyone feels. When you take care of yourself, when you develop yourself, when you build yourself, when you call yourself to being, we will all feel you. We will know that actually something is happening. Even in the house, you know something is different. Don't wait for a breakdown to start building yourself. Ask yourself these questions. Which areas in my life need strengthening right now? What capacity am I willing to build in this season? Because growth is a form of love. Self-development is not selfish. It is a sacred responsibility. And so there is an exercise for all of us. Take your time and in your own way, rate yourself in every area. Maybe in your emotional self, in your physical self, spiritual self, intellectual self, social self, even financial. You know, financial discipline is self-care. Cognitive self. Take yourself a time audit on a scale of 0 to 1 or 1 to 10, 1 being the least and 10 being the most. How are you doing emotionally? How are you doing physically? How are you doing spiritually? How are you doing intellectually, socially, financially, and cognitively? So there are different tips that are shared, you know, journaling and establishing our boundaries, sleeping, hydrating, prayer, and meditation, intellectual self and readiness, you know, reading and engaging in puzzles and things that stimulate your mind. And so with that, I'd love to hear whether we have questions and so that I can respond to us. So thank you. A happy mother is equals to a happy home. Do you have questions?
Wow. Let's appreciate our facilitator even as we get to see if there is any question. This is amazing. My book is full. I don't know about you. And this is quite something. And I'm looking at all this. Can a mother fully have it all? That is Dr. Tabitha. And I'm glad we had many doctors in the call. Wow. And I can see someone, Claire is saying it's a wake-up call. Yes, there is that question. Maybe, Lydia, you can respond to that as we even come to the close of this. So can a mother have it all? Yes.
Tabi, thank you so much for that question. Can a mother truly, actually, you know, she has asked truly, see stories as a, can she truly have it all? The truth is that a mother cannot truly have it all. But for every season, she can take advantage of the season. Be in the present. You see, like right now, I believe, you see, right now I'm having a conversation about recalling ourselves or recalling myself in the journey of motherhood. I believe that this is all for me. So for every moment, take the moment with a lot of intentionality. You realize that today, if you're a mother of a 5-year-old, and tomorrow the child turns 6, if it's a birthday, today was the only opportunity you had to be a mother of a 5-year-old. So be in the present. Take advantage of the present. And that's how I would describe a mother having it all.
Wow, that's beautiful. I think we can give some flowers, some reactions with our, artificial reactions, and we can celebrate Lydia. I know we could be having many, many other questions. And indeed, this was a great awakening to remind us again to recall ourselves. And I'll say this last thing, even as we come to a close, because I can't see any other question, that you mentioned that emotions are not our enemies. Emotions are not our enemies. My dear women, my dear friends, they are signals. We cannot ignore them. And many, many questions I know we are carrying, and I have my many questions, and I will ask and maybe remind us again, is life happening, or we are showing up with consistency and intentionality? That one has come out so well. How well are you taking care of you? How do you see your future you? Are you confident enough to meet the future you? Or are we shying away from that? And also reminding us issues around self-care. And even for us joining in this call tonight, it's part of self-care, intellectual self-care, to keep our minds stimulated, that we can have that vibrant life. And also to know that we can only meet others as deeply as we meet ourselves. And also remember, let's have that daily devotion to our inner strength. That to me was mind-blowing, man. And I think that's where Doc is coming in and asking, can a woman, all these things. But I will say, let's have one thing that we think we can work with, at least for this maybe weekend that is almost coming. And also sit with ourselves again and try to restructure and see where are the areas. I love the capacity audit exercise, and I will encourage all of us to take time with ourselves. Let's just have that moment. Let's revisit ourselves yet again and sit and evaluate ourselves and see where we are at. So thank you so much, Lydia. I'm sure you don't mind hearing this amazing woman again in the future, and we'll keep doing these things, because I know as we keep sharpening our tools, we are going to enjoy motherhood and enjoy even our lives in general. And with that, I think we've come to the close of our conversation this evening. Kindly don't forget to follow us on the social media, the platforms, Rubber Care Center. There is a lot of psychoeducation and lots of conversation, and so that you can be, get to know what is coming, what is happening. So once again, I want to say thank you very much for being in the call. And I will take it back to our psychotherapist, Lydia, to give us your final remarks.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate. These are my final remarks for us as women. My remarks are this: that as a woman, you're important. As a woman, God was intentional when He was creating you, when He was setting you apart. And it would be a lot of disservice if you were to desert, if you were to let go of the gifts, of the strengths that God has actually, there's so many gifts and strengths that God has put inside of you, just for one. I say that motherhood is just a chapter. You have got so many chapters that you need to actually move to. Allow yourself to touch base with all the strengths that God has actually put inside of you.
Wow, is that all? That was very short. The evening seems to be very short, and it's amazing. I want to let everyone who is in the call know that we are going to share this recording so that we can listen over and over again and get these points one by one, and also put into practice some of these things that we've heard, because it is not the one who hears who is justified, but the one who is able to do some of these things. So with that, I want to wish us a good night. Thank you once again, Lydia, for being with us, and we truly appreciate. I had written, let me see the take home, and I'm sure there are many, many things that we are carrying in our baskets, in our minds, and we are going to implement and execute them one by one, a step at a time. Thank you, and I want to wish us a very good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Doreen.
We can unmute and say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you and bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye.